everybody. LBL, how you guys doing today? I hope you're doing excellent. My name is Scott, and I'm sitting here with Randy Vigiani
What's up?
with Start Moving, and we're excited today to come to you and talk about being an owner versus an operator. And I know this is something that a lot of business owners are really want to do and look forward to, but it can be a little bit harder sometimes to really, master that and figure out how to do that. And so I'm really excited to be talking with Randy today, who's really been able to do that with his business, Start Moving, and expanding it and expanding some other areas. But Randy, why don't you tell us a little about yourself and your business?
All right, so I started this company, Start Moving, when I was 19 years old. I've had 25 different part-time jobs before that, and this one just was the most interesting and the one that I was able to grow my personal life with. So I really enjoy working on the company and building a business, and it took a long time to get where I'm at now, but it was totally worth it, and I just want to be able to help as many people get to the same level that I'm at.
Awesome. And so why did you decide to go into business for yourself?
Well, it was just something that resonated from when I was in college. I was doing automotive service, and I really wasn't happy there, so I moved to Florida, and I had this eMove account from when I was working at U-Haul, and I was doing these little side jobs when I worked at Circuit City and Lone Star Steakhouse here in Lakeland. I was doing little moves on the side, and I just got the rewarding feeling when I help a client that you get the satisfaction of working for yourself, and so that's what it started out as, just working for myself until like 5 or 6 years down the road, after almost burning myself out. I'd be on the trucks moving furniture. I'd get off and I'd be calling the clients and setting up other moves, and it just got overwhelming. So I had some limiting beliefs at first because my dad owned a business, and he always said, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself.
Yeah.
So I was stuck in that mentality for so long, and 80% of business is psychology. So eventually my psychology changed, and I knew I had to hire people and let go a little bit and trust some people to drive trucks and do some important stuff. So once you can do that, then you're able to open your mind to bigger things.
Awesome. And I know that's some of the stuff we're going to be talking about, and so I'm super excited to see how you did those things and how you can relate that to, to help other people be able to do those things. But tell us a little bit about Start Moving. What do you guys specialize in? What do you do? Obviously, it's a moving company, but, what kind of makes you guys different?
Okay, so what makes us different is our reputation. For one, I think we have the highest reputation out of any moving company that you'll ever find, and that's proven by the reviews that you can find online, too. There's very little negative stuff said about us online.
Awesome.
There's just overwhelming amount of positive stuff, and that's just because I try to train my employees to care the same way that I've cared throughout the years when I was doing all the work myself. So this company, we do local moving within like the 50-mile radius of Lakeland, which is Tampa and Orlando as well. And then we also go any state to any state, so we can actually move you to California, and then maybe we'll fly back, or maybe we'll fly somebody to California, move them to New York, and fly our guys back. So it's a real point A to point B without having to put your stuff with other families' things, like if you try to use a van line company. It's a little higher end of a service. Okay,
fantastic. And so, one of the things that I always like to talk about with people is, obviously you guys started in business, kind of working for yourself on the side, and then you decided to start this business. What were your goals when you started out? Like, if you guys don't know, Randy is in the process of franchising and things like that, but, did you expect that from this when you first got started, or, was your expectation, hey, I'm going to grow it to a point where maybe I don't have to work every day, and then, go from there? What were kind of your expectations, your goals when you first started?
Well, it really took a long time before I realized that you have to start working on yourself. And you could work on the business all day long if you don't work on your mind first and learn some stuff from other people that have done better. One thing I do is I read an hour a day, and I work out an hour a day, and that conditions the mind and the body to be able to perform and to learn. So I spent years and years learning before I was able to get off the trucks too. And then one of the books that I came across was called The E-Myth Revisited, which kind of puts you in your place. It'll tell you if you're an owner or operator, and you'll feel it, and you'll feel the pain of if you've been burning yourself out as an operator too long.
Okay. And where's this business Start Moving? Where's it kind of stand now? Where, like the franchising and everything, where have you been able to grow this to? What point now?
Okay, so 5 years ago is when I started working on the franchise model, and this is considered the franchise model here in Lakeland. We do $500,000 right now per year minimum, and
fantastic.
sales. And then, so I guess what I was doing is 5 years ago I figured out that I wanted to franchise after I read that book. So I had a lot of work to do. I had systems to build, people to put in place, tons of documentation. And then after that was all completed, the last couple of years I've really been going hard on my personal learning and got the confidence for one to be able to take it to the next level because I knew nothing about franchising. Recently I hired a team that's going to help me franchise, and we're basically finishing up the owner's manuals, and we'll be able to sell locations all across the United States within the next 90 days probably.
That's awesome, and so one of the reasons why I wanted to point out, where Randy started and where he's at now with Start Moving is because, again, I think he's reached, and we're going to talk about here in a little bit, the owner versus operator. He's really been able to reach that point where now he's not so much, involved in the day-to-day, just making sure the functions of the business are there, but making sure that he's growing. And with growth comes more freedom. And so one of the cool things that I know we've talked about personally that I want to touch on is how did you initially, because obviously opening up a business, especially one like this, we have to have trucks and everything like that, takes capital, or resources. So how did you get funded, or what creative strategies did you actually use to execute on minimal cash flow when you got started? And how did you do that?
And that's the thing. I worked part-time jobs. I was probably more ambitious than most people because I would work 2 jobs minimum, usually 3 part-time jobs. And that's how I ended up working at 25 different places before I ever really established the business.
Right.
So going back to that, yeah, I mean, basically, you grow and you grow and you grow, and you just don't stop. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So.
Yeah. So how did you purchase your first truck?
Oh yeah. So basically, it's a cool story. First, I was doing the labor-only help through the eMove site, and that's what made me want to start placing ads. And so I had to do some research. I did some research on the licensing. I went ahead and bought a 1985 U-Haul truck from Tennessee. So I drove a rental car out to Tennessee. I got in this truck, and it barely made it back, it seemed like. It was just a slow, 45-mile-an-hour truck driving it across the highway. But surprisingly, after some cheap dollar white spray paint, the thing looked pretty nice, and it was a big truck, and I was able to start placing ads and start actually doing real moves. And that was really exciting. So after about a year with that old truck, I was able to sell that, and I sold it for $3,500, which is that was what I paid for it. And it really doesn't take that much to come up with $3,500 if you're determined, and you might even be able to get a loan for that. But that's really the initial investment that I had in the company. It wasn't anything more than that.
Awesome. Well, that's fantastic. And I guess the message there is obviously if you want to do something bad enough and you have the passion behind it, and you're excited about it, then you'll figure out a way.
Exactly. It's not about resources, because that's the biggest thing I hear when people are looking to start a business. Is they tell me, I don't have the money, I don't have the time. Everything is, it's not resources that's important, it's your resourcefulness. If you want to get something done, you will find a way to get it done. And money is just a small problem.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about owner versus operator. What does that mean? Why think about becoming an owner versus an operator? So what does that mean, first of all?
Okay, so if you're going to get into business, you really need to think of the end game first. So you want to have an exit strategy. So once you create an exit strategy, let's say you want to sell your company in 10 years, and maybe in my case, I want to have 100 locations before I sell my company. You got to start thinking differently than if you're just there working inside of your business trying to make your daily money. So you'll start thinking differently about your brand and what the brand needs to look like before it's sellable. And you want to create something that's sellable, whether you're ever going to want to sell it or not. It needs to kind of be like a franchise model.
Okay. And so what benefits does that give someone? So, for example, let's not talk mainly necessarily just about business benefits, but like your lifestyle. So how does becoming an owner help elevate your lifestyle?
So even though I was having a great time when I was the one on the trucks all the time, and I was driving across the country probably 20 times a year, 20 different states a year, it was burning me out, but I was having a great time. But you realize you just have to change somehow in order to keep going and continue growing the business. And the great thing about it is once you learn to let go and you start hiring people and putting people in place, you make a lot more money and you free up a lot more time, and it's just a beautiful thing, and it's addicting.
Awesome. So time and money, they're pretty much the benefits. I think that's something that we're all after. If you own a business or you're thinking about going into a business, I think that's a great mindset to have is, hey, what is the end goal? Let's not just go into this thing and, just see what happens, but let's actually have a plan in place. Most people should have a business plan in place to make sure that you're reaching your goals in a timely manner. And because ultimately, the fact is you can work 30, 40 years a lot easier at a job than you can being self-employed. And so, I think that's an awesome attitude to have and to really be able to look at. When did you realize we start moving that you were really going to be able to franchise this and this was something kind of bigger than, maybe just building it up and selling it?
Well, after I was finished wrapping all my trucks, that was one of the big steps. All my trucks are bright green, and they say start moving, and it all matches the inside of this room and the sign, and it all comes together. And your customer service too, it's part of your brand. Once you have that brand, you could see the results that you're getting by the feedback that you get. People start to acknowledge you, and people start looking up to you and stuff like that. So it's like you have to look at either you're going to be a corporation and own several locations yourself, or maybe just make one location really huge. And that didn't really work out for me because you want the people that are managing your locations to have a lot of skin in the game and really make it work right and provide the same level of service that we provide. So my goal was to get a new owner for each location and let them take care of it like their baby. And it's rewarding for both of us, for them and for us. I can create jobs for people who want to start a business too.
That's fantastic. And so, what's the difference here between an owner and an operator? What separates the two?
So a lot of owners are actually operators, and they just think they're owners, and they need a hard lesson. So they're in their job working. Perhaps they're working in the field. That's the biggest problem is if you're burning yourself up physically, and you're not really working on any of the mental parts of the business. Yeah. So what the difference is creating the brand and then creating systems. And systems is just a big word really for checklists and little customer service form and whatever it is that was in your head, the way you did the business, you got to get it on paper. So where the piece of paper or a video or something can train your employees, and you don't have to be the one keeps coming back and training new employees yourself. So for the last 2 years, I could proudly say that I really haven't had to be here much, and my people do an excellent job. I have 4 great girls in the office that take care of everything, and about 20 awesome movers too.
That's fantastic. So really an owner is focused on growing the business, franchising, building it up to being, maybe worth more. And an operator is really focused on keeping just the day-to-day going. They're kind of stuck before they get those systems in place. They kind of get stuck in that, hey, I need to be hands-on with it, almost, every aspect of the business. And,
yep.
Make sure things are running the way. It's almost that mentality of, hey, if it's going to be done right, I have to do it.
Yep.
And in business, unless you want to work every day for the rest of your life, that's not really the mentality you want to have. And so, but that can be very hard for a lot of people to kind of to let go of. So, what would you say the responsibilities are as a business owner versus an operator?
Well, as a business owner, your responsibilities are going to be more looking after the systems. So you're going to be fine-tuning what already works. So if you have movers that will go out and get in the truck and go do a job, and maybe they have some problems completing it because there's no structure, you can start with hiring the people and add your structure, but really you need to have some kind of way of doing things that can be repetition and duplicatable.
Okay, so really setting that foundation for others to come in and be able to take your role in different aspects of the business.
Yeah, so what you do is you'll start off, if you're going to start a company and you don't have a massive amount of money to just start off, maybe buying a franchise, you're going to start small and you're going to do everything yourself. And what you want to do is perfect everything that you do first before you put somebody in your place. That way you know they're going to be doing it the way you do it, as long as you can find a way to communicate that to them through the business systems, which is the videos and the trainings and the checklists and whatever it takes.
Okay, and so I think that's a very key point that you just made, because I think, one of the problems is that a lot of times we're so used to being managers or managed in an employee job type setting that, we can go into a job in a management role and kind of just start giving orders. Where in business, you really have to be the expert at every part of your business before you can show someone else to do it, right?
Yeah, so you got to develop leadership skills for sure. And you kind of got to figure out, as a business owner, what type of personality are you? Are you the artist? Are you like a basketball player where you're hands-on and you want to be touching and doing everything? Or if you're an entrepreneur, you're somebody who you might not necessarily care like about the moving industry. Like I care about it, but however, I would go ahead and go into any other industry just as easily and want to create the business because that's my style. I'm the entrepreneur style. And then you have the manager leader style that just likes to manage and lead people. So whichever one you feel like that's you, you got to make it so you can build your business around that. So if you're the artist, maybe you have like a tattoo shop and you want to be a tattoo artist, but you're going to have to hire people that are more entrepreneurial to take care of the rest of the business for you so you could still make a good amount of money there. Instead of just being a tattoo artist, one person doing as many people as you can. You're going to have other people working there. You're going to have some kind of entrepreneur and a manager leader that can manage all those other employees that are the tattoo artists as well. So it could work for any company. I could pretty much break it down the same way. It's all the same.
That's a great point of view. Again, I think we all have talents and skills, and that was awesome that you said that, because I think you have to do something, first of all, not necessarily that, you have to love the industry that you're in, but you have to love what you do for people. And you have to be able to realize what talent you have. A skill is something that you can learn, that anyone can learn, but a talent is something that you just have naturally. So what are you talented at? What comes just, naturally to you, and what are you just very good at? Those are things, I think, again, when you talk about becoming an owner versus an operator, you have to realize, hey, maybe I'm good at the hands-on stuff. Maybe I'm good at the managing the business aspect. Maybe I'm great at customer service. Whatever maybe I'm good at paperwork, who knows? But you have to become experts at everything, an expert at everything, just so you can show other people how to do it. But you should focus on the things that you are great at. Gary Vaynerchuk says this a lot. He says, don't do anything that you don't want to do. And what he means by that is not when you're starting, don't just do the thing, don't neglect things that you want to do, but perfect the system and perfect your business so that way you can focus on the things that you love, because you're not going to be excited and you're not going to be good at all the things you want to do or all the things that need to be done in the business. And what that can do is that can burn you out quicker if you're focused on the things that you're not good at.
Yep, and I don't even necessarily think you have to be able to learn everything. Like, there's certain skills that I'm never going to be good at, I figure. So, like, as a web developer, I would hire one of those, and I wouldn't be able to show them exactly what to do because that's their field of expertise, and an accountant as well. Yeah. So there's some stuff with my accounting that I have other people really in place for, which I might have dabbled in it and had some mistakes first. So be careful what you do decide to try to master, and don't spend too much time on those things that you're not going to be interested in doing long term.
Yeah, and some of those mistakes can be sometimes costly. So
yeah.
Either time wise or financially. So
yep.
Definitely pick and choose. So Randy, how do you become a business owner? What are the things that you have to do? How do people start making that transition to, hey, I'm going to try to step back as an operator, someone who's in the day-to-day, and really, I know you mentioned systems and personal development. Maybe expand on those a little bit. But how do you start that process?
Yeah, that's the key, is personal development for sure. And that's the only way I ever got there, is I've read over 100 books, and I've gone to so many seminars, and then also you find mentors. That's really important, and people that have already done it. So it's really all of those things, and make sure you put yourself first and try to work on yourself first, because if you're just working on your business and in your business and not developing yourself, then you're not going to get the psychology behind it, and that's truly the most important thing, and I can't stress that enough.
So what kind of personal development do you do? What has worked for you? What things do you have in place for that aspect of growing yourself and growing your mentality?
So you start with your largest problems in business, or even in your personal life, whatever you're struggling with. If you're struggling with interacting with people on a daily basis, then you might want to start with some leadership books, anything that can help you grow as a leader and learn how to lead people and take care of, you're not getting so stressed out dealing with people or whatever. So whatever the topic is that you're struggling with and you need to get good at it, you find a book on it, and you find 5 more books on it until you figure that you can kind of master that one technique before you move on to the next one.
Awesome, yeah. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself. Randy just got back from a weekend with Tony Robbins, which is amazing, fantastic. And so, don't be afraid to invest in those things. Investing in yourself is pretty much the only investment that you're always guaranteed a better result and a better return on your investment. So, definitely I think that's very key to growing yourself and seeing those different perspectives and things like that and growing your mind that way.
Yeah, and try not to be too skeptical too, because Tony Robbins, there's just as much haters as there are admirers, but that guy, he helps more than almost anybody in the world, I would say. So
yeah, he definitely he gives back, and I know before I really dove into being a business owner and growing myself in that way, I kind of used to think, oh, these guys are just blowing smoke or whatever, but when you start to really grow and again just even acknowledge those other perspectives and start seeing things in different ways, what these people, especially Tony Robbins, what they're trying to do is just help you grow your mind. You have to be willing to look at different things, and some may work for you, some may speak directly to you and your situation and your personality, others may not. But you can typically take something from all these different books, all these different speakers and leaders.
Yeah, and be careful who you learn from. If you have somebody that you look up to as a mentor, yet they're in the same place in their business as you are in yours, they're not going to give you the right advice, and you might want to follow their advice because you look up to them. But however, like a guy like Tony Robbins, who has 18 companies and they're grossing $5 billion per year, that's the kind of people you're going to seek the information from because they have it figured out better than anyone else.
Yeah, going to different levels. Awesome. And so another thing that you touched on was systems. And so I think that's very, very, very important to wanting to step away from a business because you have to put those in place in order for your business to run without you. And so what kind of systems, what do those look like? What did you put in place? What really helped you? What did you start with first?
Let's see. I started first with just hiring movers was the most important, is to allow them to drive my trucks. And so I would take them out and train them exactly how I wanted it done. And that worked fine for a while. And then, you step away from your business and you come back and your trucks are dirty and your people are breaking furniture, and you say, okay, well, I don't want that to be the experience for my clients. So what you do is you refine systems. For instance, the way we wrap our furniture, we have a 3-step process. You put pads underneath the furniture, pads on top of the furniture, and attach the two together. So that's a 3-step process. Easy to remember, easy to duplicate, and it works for every single piece of furniture in your house. So it's just little stuff like that where you figure something out, you put it to paper, and you try to encourage the team to do the same thing.
Okay. Yeah, so, just equipping those individuals, and it's a risk, right? It's a bit of a risk because, one of those new drivers could drive the truck into a ditch or something. You just don't know sometimes. That's to help hedge against that, though. That's why you have great training and you have the systems in place that you do. But yeah, so just perfecting those systems, making sure you do great training with people, and making them feel empowered themselves. Like, hey, you have some responsibility now. This is an awesome thing that I'm giving to you. And so not necessarily like, hey, you just need to do your job and do it the way I told you, but saying, hey, I'm allowing you to do this. I feel comfortable with you doing it. I want you to do it. I know you can do a great job.
Yeah, and understand that people are going to make mistakes, so you put your insurance in place, and you kind of you leave some money in the bank account. You don't take it all out every chance you get and go blow money on bikes and cars and all that stuff. You really got to be careful and make sure you're living within your means and you're not taking too much from the business. Whenever a catastrophe happens, you got to be prepared for that. And then also, when you know you're going to make mistakes, you want to give the customer a great experience. So we've actually damaged a piece of furniture before, but the customer's so ecstatic about the way we've handled everything and the way that we are so nice to them, they overlook a small thing like that.
Awesome. And so that was definitely, you just touched on, managing basically your revenue and your costs and making sure you have something there just in case, something comes up in the business cost-wise. How did you do that? How did you manage, hey, I've got this revenue coming in, should I invest it back in the business? Should I save it? Should I, how did you manage that? What
I think I'm a
Did
pretty
you?
good coach when it comes to like business systems and creating freedom and stuff. As far as finances go, I'm not really
Okay.
gonna give too much advice on that. However, I've always lived within my means. I pay myself just what I can get by on, and I even maybe do some stuff on the side. I'm also a realtor, so I got other ways of paying my own bills, and I keep my bills to a minimum. My only bill right now is my house and my water and electric, and I really don't have anything other than that. Like the company truck is what I drive around. It's wrapped, and it kind of pays for itself that way.
Awesome. So being debt free, keeping your own personal costs low, uh, just a great way to be able to allow you to grow your business more
Mm-hmm.
and experience.
Yeah, so for like the last 11 years, which is how long I've been in business, I've always continued to reinvest and buy more equipment. Each year we try to get like a new truck,
Awesome.
or we expand and get a bigger warehouse or whatever. We're pretty happy. We got 2,500 square feet here and a lot of office space as well. So just keep growing and growing the business, and then make sure you pay yourself first. And by that I mean you're working really hard for the money, and your company should be a separate entity. So if the company crashes, you want to make sure there's some money in your bank account too. So always keep that in mind.
Awesome. And so, what would you say are the biggest challenges to becoming an owner versus uh, an operator?
Um, for me, I was really hard headed at a young age because I did start young, and it took so much pain before I was willing to make the effort to go to figure out some more things.
Yeah.
Because I was really doing it on my own for like probably the first 5 years, and that's too long, really. If I would have expanded my psychology and my
Yeah.
philosophy first, instead of just thinking I could work hard and make it happen, you got to work hard and smart.
Awesome. Okay. And so again, along with that too, I would imagine one of the tough aspects is like we touched on just a little bit ago, but allowing employees to fulfill their roles and kind of giving them that responsibility and that trust
Mm-hmm.
with your business and whether it's client facing or working with equipment or whatever. What were kind of some of the things that you did to help with that process? So obviously the personal development you had to do to get to that point to say, hey, I need to allow my employees to do this
Mm-hmm.
and give them that responsibility. But when it actually came down to it, how did you know which people were right? How did you hire those people, or how did that kind of work for you? Just starting that.
Well, I guess once you become a better character, you can attract better characters, and you can
Very important.
recognize better characters as
Yeah.
well. So, if you're the type of person that hasn't developed yourself yet, you may be only able to attract your friends that are just like you. So, you got to make sure that you do your best to be an encourager of the people that you bring on, and try to coach them into learning as well, and get them kind of hooked on the learning bug, and see if you can inspire a couple of people to be great, and then those are the people that will become leaders in your company.
Awesome. So people skills, be able to attract the right kind of people by being the right person yourself, having great training, care about your people. Those are all important things to finding the right employees to carry on your business name for you
Yep.
when you're not around.
Just
Awesome.
know that there's always someone out there that's just as good as you at, or probably better than you at whatever it is you do. So you got to trust in that and try to just make it your mission to find those people.
Okay. And if you had one piece of advice to someone just starting out, just in business in general, what would your one golden nugget be for those people?
Just go for it and
Awesome.
find momentum. So once you get started and you actually accomplish a piece of the puzzle, it's a rewarding feeling, and you start getting lit on fire, and you can get momentum and keep going and building after that. So a lot of people just never get started because there's too many fears and limitations holding them back.
That's awesome. That's great. So go for it, guys. And so, what was your day like when you first got started? You touched on this a little bit to versus now. What is your day like?
So when I first got started, whether I was sick or injured, I'd have back injuries, I've had an ear infection, or whatever it was, I had to be there. I couldn't let a customer that or a client that was closing on their house miss their move, because then it would affect another family on top of that, and you'd have people that are very angry, and you wouldn't have good reviews. So no matter what, I have to be there, and I made sure I was, and I always did a great job. Um, but then once you get some people in place, you're able to kind of step away And if you're injured, you don't have to be there. If you're sick, you don't have to be there. And if you really get a lot of good people in place, for the last 2 years, I really haven't had to do much but manage marketing, kind of look into where I was going next, have more time to educate myself to be even smarter and stronger for the next step and the next level. So you really get that freedom to be able to work on whatever you need to work on or want to work on.
Yeah, fantastic. So you were able to put some of those systems in place and attract the right people, grow your business, do a great job for clients, and essentially just have freedom for yourself, financially and time wise. And now you just have a lot of fun, right? Enjoying life.
Yeah, and then once my goal in the beginning was to be able to not have to work. And once I met that goal, it was a devastating thing because it was not fun sitting on the couch. So quickly I had to figure out, okay, what's the next level here, and what's the next thing I want to do, and really find reunite the passion that I had for the company once I figured out that I wanted to franchise. And why did I want to franchise? Because I like to help people succeed in business, and I like to coach. So if anybody's looking for that kind of a mentor, definitely feel free to give me a call.
Perfect. And so, where do you see the business in the next 3 to 5 years?
So the next 5 years, I hope to have 100 locations, and I might put it up for sale. I might just want to keep my baby, but the next 3 to 5 years, that's what I want to have a ton of locations. Now that's the next step. That's it. That's
Perfect.
Just the drive.
Perfect. So, got to keep reaching those for those higher goals and keep stretching yourself and your business, and take over the world, dominate, right? Mm-hmm. So, guys, that was a great, I think, in-depth view of what it takes to become an owner versus an operator with Randy Vigiani and Start Moving. They're at 2327 Old Cumbie Road. What's your phone number for the business?
So it's 863-397-0047, and you can go to www.startmovingme.com, and definitely check us out, and you'll get to call and talk to one of the lovely ladies here. They'd love to help you with whatever moving needs that you have.
Fantastic. So for those of you that want to stick around, we're going to go ahead and give you a little tour of the place here, maybe even show you one of the trucks. But for everyone that needs to go, thank you so much for tuning in. Randy, this was awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah, definitely stay for the tour if you guys are able to.
So, all right, guys. Well, I hope you have a great day. Thanks, and we'll go ahead and, I guess, start the tour.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's take a walk around here. So right here, we also rent Penske's out. So you come in here if you're renting a truck. I forgot to even mention that's part of our business. Once we expanded another part to be able to help people that can't afford to use our services, they can rent a truck themselves, but they can still get it from us. So right here is our Penske operation, right in front here. And then if you follow me, we'll take a walk over here. The ladies might be on the phone, so I'll be kind of quiet.
Okay.
It's the main office back here. Here we have Destiny and Brittany. Brittany's the manager here.
Hi. Awesome. Hey,
Take
guys.
a walk over this way.
Didn't they be on camera today, huh?
They're shy, but not when you get them on the phone.
Right?
All right, so out here is our warehouse. And one thing, if we're looking at business systems, if you look on the wall, I have a label for everything. So we got used boxes, wardrobe boxes, paper pads. You got to keep everything organized so it stays in place, so you're not coming back and everything's disorganized. So we got our storage over here as well. Most of it we just use for our own stuff because we don't have a huge warehouse, and storage in Lakeland is not that big of a need because there's so many facilities. So we don't concentrate a lot on storage here at this location. We may in future locations. But these vaults are really nice to keep everything organized as well. Before we were just stacking everything on the floor everywhere, and it didn't look very good. So if you come back here, we have a conference room. And if you're going to be maybe in one of my workshops, or maybe you're going to be a new owner, you're going to come in here and you're going to train with me, and the movers can train. I got a nice whiteboard here. Anything I need to do, I could pretty much do it at my warehouse or in my office.
Awesome. Great.
That's pretty much it, guys.
Great. Awesome. Well, guys, definitely check it out. And Randy's here to help you with all your moving needs. And we thanks for tuning in, and have a great day.